So I wanted to do an update video on my Ice Nova Gemling. I just wanted to discuss some additional options for the build and also a few things I didn't know about or forgot to mention in the first video. So just as a disclaimer, this is a very late game focused build, as I only swapped to this type of spell build when I was level 94 on my character. Like I played a grenade Gemling before that. And the build doesn't seem to perform very well at lower levels than that. So at least like level 90 plus I would recommend, because a very big power spike for Ice Nova is to get this a level 20 skill gem that is corrupted with one additional level. Because Ice Nova it's so great for AoE clear, but it struggles with single target damage for like if it's a very tanky rare enemy or a mini boss or something like that. So I wouldn't really recommend it for lower levels or a very low budget. Also, the another problem, if you don't have enough damage on Ice Nova, you might not have enough damage to destroy your ice crystals. So for me, I can hit it twice, and it always or usually breaks one of the crystals to get me the Burglass damage. You can see here. Yeah. It's kind of difficult to get that high enough damage to break the ice crystals easily. You can also just remove this support so that they have less life and you can destroy them easier, but you won't get as much damage, but you'll still get a good amount of damage. I thought I would quickly mention all the sources of quality, as that can be difficult to keep track of. There's obviously the 20% you give to each skill gem, and then you can corrupt them for 3% more quality. And then you get 6% from the Gemling Ascendancy nodes, and then this is a like a secret notable you can anoint that gives 5% quality. I have it anointed on my amulet here. There's 5% from desecrating a suffix onto an amulet. I'm not sure if this one is more rare than other desecration outcomes, but it did take me like 5 attempts with the rerolling omens to get it. Other than that, there is on the lore weave unique, you can get 5% quality, and this one can also roll to 7% in some cases, in some versions of lore weave. And then a new thing that I didn't know about when I made the first video is that they changed something about the Fox Idol, so that it gets the benefit of the bonded modifier. And for the Fox Idol, the bonded modifier gives 5% quality of all skills. So this is by far the easiest way to get an extra 5%. So I would recommend like always to use a Fox Idol on your body armor. There's also some tech you can do with this unique belt, and you can socket it as if it's a body armor, and it gives increased effect of the socketed items. So with this one you could easily get like 9% quality instead of the 5%, but it does require your whole belt slot just for that, and they're still limited to one, so you only really gain like 4% quality from using this, and I don't think it's worth it, at least for me, to use my whole belt slot just for that. So it's still an option, but getting like chaos resistance and additional stats from the belt slot is better in my opinion. Then there's also this lineage support giving 5% to the skill you socket it into, but it's quite expensive, and also it wouldn't make like that big of a difference for my build, I would say, on any of the skills. Like it would help put it on Arctic Armor or Frostwall or something like that, but it's not the most important thing. And I believe that's all the sources of quality. Now about defenses, because it is very possible to just, in my first video I was just using lore weave, but it's very possible, and I think I would recommend just using a rare armor piece to just to get even better defenses, and then you can use the Fox Idol as quality, because with this you can get the 40% quality threshold that allows you to never consume an infusion on Ice Nova. So you don't have to use lore weave. So this allows you to get a lot more defenses and also another place for resistances. It's also pretty difficult to find a good lore weave on trade, as it's just a lot of different things to search for. And you have to know like what you're looking for and all that. So using another armor piece though, and also having more of this armor applies to elemental damage, that just greatly increases the defenses. So if I'm using this, I have 31,000 armor right now. And also I would want to get more of these armor applying to elemental damage. But it's at 24,000 now, which is pretty decent. Another thing I did for defenses was I managed to upgrade Arctic armor so that it now has maximum of 10 charges, which each one is giving armor, right? So this is even more armor. And with that, I think the defenses are pretty good. At least a lot better than what I showed in the first video. I'm also doing some other experiments now. So I'm trying out mind over matter. So this effectively doubles my health pool. It uses my mana as well as my health. And which also is a great synergy with armor, right? Because it will also apply to my mana. But it of course has a big downside trade-off where my mana recovery is a lot slower. So it's a bit annoying for mana now, especially during bossing. But yeah, also I do actually have I had unallocated these because I didn't need them when I was using my lore weave. But if you have only 40% quality, you need to allocate these as well to get 100% chance not to consume Ice Nova. That's why I actually lost the infusions right there. Right. I was just saying the mana is kind of bad now for if I don't pick up mana remnants. So I'm gonna try to upgrade my mana on my other gear now as my next steps. Because mind over matter is a really good defensive option. And I can talk about Flame Blast because I currently don't have it equipped, but I would still recommend highly to use it. Because the reason I don't have it equipped is because my damage is good enough to do bosses now with just Ice Nova and Frost Wall. So, and also I wanted to just have more space here for other skills, and I also wanted to balance my gems. I can quickly mention this because the gem studded notable in the Gemling. It apparently gives you all 3 benefits if you have the same amount of let's see, if you have the same amount of each support, which does work, but I'm sure there's something bugged with this ascendancy as well, because if I take off a support gem here, I clearly don't have intelligence as the most numerous, right? But I don't lose the spell cost. I still have the exact same cost. Now if I refund it, I can instantly notice that my mana costs are way higher. So it's bugged in some way, this ascendancy point. So maybe you just require 10 of each to get the bonus or something, I'm not sure. But yeah, I might take a Flame Blast on again because it does make fighting bosses faster in some cases when there's a very tanky boss. Also don't think I showed all the support gems that I was using for Flame Blast. These are just to maximize the damage of the single hit, naturally. And also, you could also use this support for Flame Blast because it doubles the ignite inflicted. But it wasn't as good as I thought, or that you would think, because the skill deals 30% less damage and the ignite is based on the damage of the ability. And also because it did less damage on the initial hit, it sometimes didn't ignite the boss because it just wouldn't apply enough flammability, and it would randomly not ignite the boss. So it was just way more consistent to use multiplicative damage hits support gems, I found. And then I also had Blasphemy in weapon set 2, which has a fire damage spell, right? So this one would reduce the resistances of the boss. I also don't think I showed this, but I have on weapon set 2 I have some fire nodes that does like fire damage and ignite magnitude, stuff like this. And then weapon set 1 we have the ones that only matter for cold skills, right? The cold damage and level of cold skills. Then for the persistent skills and for the spirit, there's actually a lot of different options you can use. Because I have, with my lore weave, I have 180 spirit, but this works perfectly fine if you have 150 spirit, because I'm currently experimenting with this stuff using charge regulation. Explain the thought process here, because there's this node that gives me a power charge when I consume an elemental infusion, and this, it counts as consuming an infusion whenever I use Ice Nova, right? So I'm getting a lot of power charges just for free. And this one just gives me more crit chance when I have a power charge. So that's like an alright damage boost for 30 spirit, I was thinking. There's also this support that when you get the charge, you have a chance to get a random one. But sadly, I couldn't socket it into Ice Nova, because it needs to be a skill that generates charges. So this, like, it kind of generates them indirectly and it doesn't work. But if this would work, I think charge regulation would be good, because that would give it would give like a multiplicative armor increase and more skill speed, so, or increased skill speed, yeah. But other than that, you can, as I showed last time, use cast on ailment. That works very well. You can even have like no sources of cold infusions and just manually cast frost bomb yourself from time to time to like refresh your infusions. If you have lower spirit, right? You can also disable blink if you want, if you don't need the extra mobility. I do find that it's extremely nice mobility because of the additional teleport distance. Another really nice thing about blink actually is that, let's see here, because what I'm doing is I'm setting dodge only to my spacebar. Because if you have the default where you're able to sprint after you use blink, then it's very often that you blink into a group of enemies and then your character like tries to start and run and it gets knocked down instantly. So I just never use sprint and I never have to worry about getting knocked down when I have it like this. But yeah, there's a lot of options for the spirit. You'll have to look closer, but I think like Arctic Armor, Mana Remnants, and Blink, I would always keep those three on. It's also like an option to use a scepter and a wand, but I don't think this would have enough damage for Ice Nova for this build. Like you would need a lot of extra damage and really expensive gear. Because if you're just trying to just use a wand, you'll probably not have enough damage to break your own ice crystals, and just like dealing with tanky rare enemies, yeah, I think the damage is too low using wands. But I was thinking this shield is like an alternative to Scepter, as it gives a lot of spirit. But I don't plan on swapping to wands anytime soon, at least. Also, this Orb of Storms here is literally just here to give me a balanced amount of support gems, and also it's an intelligence requirement gem to give intelligence modes for more mana regen. Yeah, so another thing to mention, I did upgrade my gear. I got this really good ring that is just to stack a bunch of mana for, because I'm trying out the Mind Over Matter. So I found this really good ring that gives crazy amount of mana, and then I mirror it using Calendar's Touch. But I still don't have like a crazy amount of mana. Like I should have mana on my, probably should have mana on my boots and helmet. Another thing to mention is that this on my skill tree here, I'm able to start where the sorceress starts as well as the Gemling. And this is because of the split personality ruby. Now, you could also use this one that allows you to start where the druid starts, so right here. And this one because this one, it's like almost just as good. There are some area nodes around here as well, area of effect. But this one also, are just a lot cheaper than the Sorceress Jewel. So if you, this one is only around 6 divines, and then this one I believe is more around the 30-40 divine. If we do this, yeah. So if you just want to save some money, it's this one is just fine as well. It's also an option to just go all around the skill tree and grab the jewels. I might try to swap to that in the future, but I would have to sacrifice probably a lot of area of effect and some other nodes on the tree, like maybe the move speed nodes here. So I'm not sure how much better that would be, but it's an option for sure. That would free up another jewel socket, right? So if I get a bunch of really good value jewels, that might be the play, the swap. Other than that, I did upgrade my wand. I got this extremely good cold damage wand. So this was a really lucky craft because I got like a good value wand that wasn't anything too special. Then I slammed this alloy that gave cast speed and gain as cold. This was like a 1 in 3 to slam. Then after that I sanctified it and I hit like 8 levels of all cold spells, and then there was a positive roll here as well, and a positive roll on the spell damage here, so it was extremely lucky to craft this. And then yeah, because of that my Ice Nova is now level 40, which is max level. And that's also a reason why my mana costs are even higher now, so... But it's extremely good overall. Yeah, other than that, I don't think there's anything else that I can think of to mention. Yeah, this is, in general, this is more of like a level 90 plus build, I would say. I only swapped to this build when I was level like 94. I was playing a more standard grenade Gemling build, which also works extremely well. It was fun to play, so I only swapped when I was like level 94. I don't really know how well or poorly the build performs before that, right? So just as a disclaimer, yeah. Right, so you can see here I'm fighting Sesht with only using Ice Nova and Frost Wall. And the damage is like, it's not as good damage as Flame Blast, but it's fine, as I'm not farming pinnacle bosses or anything like that. But you can see because of Mind Over Matter, my mana is always like extremely low when doing a single target. But if I'm when I'm clearing maps, the mana remnants tends to spawn like way more mana remnants everywhere, and the mana is usually fine during mapping. But it's just that single target like this, it's not like an ideal setup currently. Yeah.